You know, I was just looking at this bio here. I think I did a lot of these things by mistake, but at least I did them, you know. As Jen was saying, my name is Mike Ballif. I am a current business advisor for the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. What that means is every company that comes through this program has a business advisor, and we get very familiar with everything they do as we progress, as we teach them to grow. What was interesting, when I was teaching at the U at this time, and I got a call from an old friend, said, you ought to check this out, because Goldman Sachs had chosen Salt Lake Community College to run this program instead of the U. And I asked her why. Why did they do that? Because they didn't want the U goofing it up. Let me show you this. That's true. And it was mainly because University of Utah, a great school, but it's research oriented. They wanted a hands-on effort to do this. So look at this. There's 14 locations. One is online, Salt Lake Community College. Now, Goldman Sachs is a multi-billion-dollar investment banker. You've probably heard some good things and maybe not so good things. They kind of got their name hooked into the economic meltdown a little bit, and as a result, investment banks are required to reinvest some of their dollars back into the community, to help the community, disadvantaged areas, find new applications for their resources, and also to, you know, kind of fix that tarnished image. And this is funded then through the Goldman Sachs Foundation. And Goldman Sachs said, all right, let's develop these programs where we go to the local colleges and teach businesses how to grow. And they committed $500 million to it. So, okay, I can understand a little bit of that, but not all of it. Anyway, so Goldman Sachs funds this program through the Miller campus. So that's where we're based. And I just wanted to show you that. The name of the program is Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. That means they want to put 10,000, literally, small businesses through this program. To date, we're just shy of 6,000. We have these 14 locations. Man, look at the company we're in. We got LA, Long Beach, Houston, Miami, New Orleans, New York, Babson College in Maine, Cleveland, and Salt Lake Community College. I mean, that is amazingly cool to me. So my friend that called me, so I said, yeah, I'll come out and teach. I started as a module faculty for the program, and a module is a class. And then I moved into the business advisor position. This is what is taught in this program, and then I'll come back and kind of, this is multidimensional, and I could talk for hours about, various facets of the program. But Babson College they're in Boston. For 20 years, they have been the #1 entrepreneurial college in the nation. As far as their programs, they've got Guy Kawasaki of Apple, formerly of Apple, on their board. Babson designed this curriculum. These are each day-long classes on that subject matter. So we do this one. 2 weeks passes, we do this one. It's a day-long class, total immersion. A couple of afternoons, we have some workshops. I taught that one. Now I teach this one, operations and processes. So a company applies to get in, they have to meet certain criteria, and then we take them through this curriculum. And at the end of that, they have what's called a growth plan. You've heard of marketing plans, you've heard of business plans. This is a growth plan. And the growth plan is to do what? What would you think the point of that is? Grow, yeah. Grow. Now imagine you start up a company, you find somebody, friends, family, fools, we call them, to invest money in you, right? And we get going, we're doing pretty good. We've got a 1,000 square foot office, maybe we're fixing computers, and everything's going well, and all of a sudden, we start to get more orders, and we can't fix everything, we can't do all the business. We start feeling real pressures, staying home, or not going home at night, but working until 10. All right, so we've got some growing pains, right? What do you do at that point? We're 2 years into it. My facility is too small. My people are good, but this one guy's really annoying me. If I just could knock that wall out, if somebody could answer the phone, if somebody could do my entries in my accounting package. Okay, these are growing pains. Now at that point, there is not curriculum really developed that says, okay, we're going to grow, we're going to scale, we're going to go from 2 buildings to 3 buildings. We've got 40 employees, we're going to go to 60 employees. I have 5 trucks. I can see a market in Southern California and Arizona in addition to my Utah market. How do I do that? Do I go buy the trucks? If I buy the trucks, then how do I find the customers which I can sense are there? It's a whole different set of issues than entrepreneuring to get to that position. Does that make sense? It's not always clear what to do. And sometimes, you may have heard stories about this, sometimes we've seen businesses that grow so fast, they grow right into bankruptcy. These sales just slamming in, growing and growing and growing, but they go bankrupt. How would you think that would happen? Anybody got a guess? How could you grow so fast? They implode. And that's exactly a reason. How about cash? Cash flow. Where is it instead of in the owner's hands? It's out, yeah. Out where? Receivables, yeah. And you look at that, guys, you know, it's like they get to that point and they go, oh, we had all these sales. I don't have any cash at the end of the day. They have no idea where their money is. It's incredible. And so we help them with receivables. We help them manage the flow. We help them predict where they're going to be. At the end of this process, we've had experiences with Mountain West Small Business Finance. They do SBA loans. They're kind of our partner on this program. We've had 2. It happened twice. So I'm just amazed about it because they literally did this. We had 2 of our scholars, we call them, graduated. They took their growth plan in to the bank, to Mountain West Small Business Finance, did their presentation purely out of that growth plan. And when they were done, they got a standing ovation. You ever heard of that in a loan, when you're making a loan application? The point is, see that? Being bankable. What does your banker really want? He wants to know these things. And that's what the growth plan is, in addition to helping every other facet. Anyway, that's kind of the overview of this. That's how it works. Step through this just quickly. Identify the business culture. You know, what's important to the business? Growth. How do we find market share? How do we find the opportunity? How do we know it's real? Money and metrics. It's amazing to me. I just met with one this morning. I've had a person who's doing $800,000 a year, startup, 2 years old, has no idea how to do accounting. And he's hired somebody to do it, and they couldn't do it. He gets another one. He's got all this money floating around. He has no idea how the balance sheet equation works. So, and metrics. Metrics are so powerful. It's, you know, well, I'll get to those in a minute. Teach them use of metrics. You got to be a leader. It's about your people. How do you hire people? How do you fire people? We have this legal clinic where we get about 15 lawyers in there, and our scholars can all go around and talk to them about various employment issues. Marketing and selling, there's a lot of emphasis right now on social marketing tools and so on, very powerful stuff. Go through the 4 Ps, operations and processes. That's the one I teach. I have my students draw out a key critical process in their business, such as how do you receive an order and complete it? So, you know, it's down like just step by step. And if we were a dry cleaner, okay, door opens, dry cleaner greets the customer. How are you, sir? Nice to see you back again. What can I do for you today? Greets the customer, takes the order, tells the customer how long it will be before you get it back, turns around, puts it in rack A, and so on, right? So I have them chart that out, and then I ask them, okay, now where can we break it? Where can we stress it? What happens right here? I have to tell you this one story of it was about a distance here, from here about to that plug back there, just beyond the photo. One of my guys had sprinkler parts, and that was his business. He'd get the parts in the bay door right there. They would unpack them, count them, put them back in the box, push it a little bit. Next guy would come along, he'd take them all out of the box again, put a tag on it, and then scan it into inventory, and then he'd put them all back in and close it. The last guy, the scanning was at the last step. This guy counted them. Then they carried it clear across the room where the guy would scan it into inventory. Now watch this for a minute. I said, why are you doing that? You know, he had it charted out, and he said, well, I don't know. I said, well, look at it. Watch how many steps it takes to get back there. And then you open the box the third time. And as we worked on this, it turned out when they first got the building, that was the only plug. That's where they set in their scan into inventory system. So they had gone from here to there since day one, not understanding they were paying the guy to take those steps and unpacking it and repacking it 3 times. And you see, you don't see that unless somebody points it out to you. Bottlenecks, pressure points, and then what happens if it breaks? What do you do? How do you recover? Do you think I know more about my module? And then being bankable, and I told you about that. Action for growth. We have our students commit to a growth plan. What are you going to do really? We have them stand up in front of the class and they must tell us. We do have people in tears because what some of them will say is, oh, my best friend Jane, I hired her, she helped me grow this business to this point. I love her to pieces, and now she's the impediment in my growth. She's stopping me. She was invaluable when we started. Now she's stopping me from growing. What do you do? What do you do to grow? What do you have to do? Yeah. You got to do it. We make them commit to that. Yeah. Crying towels are I'm just kind of being facetious, but when you start to get on that level, you know, this is how you have to do it. And that's why it hasn't been done to that point. We run 3 of these classes a year, and the businesses have to apply. We usually get about 100 applicants per class. They select and interview. We usually end up with about 30. And these are, we call them scholars, they're business owners. We go through everything, their financials, their backdoor planning, their books, their personnel, the tools they use. And so then we've got, and that's what I do is my job. I'm a business advisor and I go help them do that. So 3 times a year we run the programs. Right now we're in overlap, and that's where it just is amazingly time consuming. We have, cohort number 9 is in session and cohort 10 just started. So, you know, we've got a lot on our hands at the moment, but that's how it works. Have some examples here for you. Oh, what I wanted to tell you too, you know, I told you my friend called me and said, you ought to come out and teach for this program. They would not have hired me had I not had business experience. They didn't want to hire a guy that was conceptual. So I had to have actually met payroll, hired people, recovered from, you know, things that business owners do, such as, I don't know, maybe some of you are familiar with a place called Harbor Village at Bear Lake. Yeah, I started that with a partner. We were doing great. We thought everything was fine. Put in my first subdivision, all as well. We started selling lots. Started going up the incline a little bit to subdivision 2. I hit bedrock. We were digging in the utility lines. Bedrock. It's like, oh, you have to dynamite bedrock. And so one day I was great. Next day I needed $35,000 in dynamite. There was a time I put payroll on my American Express. There was more than one time. So we have to understand that business owner, and that's what the criteria was. This is a hands-on, really done it, real-world type of application. And so, give you a few examples here. Vanessa Dobson, pop art. Have you seen pop art in the grocery stores? It's popcorn, and there's some imitations already now, but it's pop art. There's a couple of 3 or 4 various mixes of flavors. She went national, you know, Whole Foods company. And Vanessa Dobson's pop art is the only company that Whole Foods has said, we like this product so much, we want you in all our stores nationwide. And there she went. She's in there. Yeah, watch for her stuff. It's really good, too. It's flavored popcorn. Started it in her bedroom with her husband. They've got a warehouse up on 33rd. She's just rocking and rolling. There, you know, she's going to just, well, she'll probably retire soon. I don't know, soon. But guy named Dallas Anderson, Utah County, had a product called Kiss Sticks. You buy this little blister pack, has one flavor here and one flavor here. So what you do, your favorite other takes one, and then you take one, you put them on, and then you kiss. An explosion of flavor, right? And Dallas, doing well, went on Shark Tank. Mark Cuban funded him. He's gone nationwide with it. Patrick Crowley, he was in the cohort last time. He's one of my guys. He started out at Salt Lake Community College, became concerned with water consumption in the West, started studying where does our water go? Well, you know, we drink it, we use it to irrigate, and then we use it to irrigate feed for cattle. That feeds us, right? It goes into our food supply. Cattle is a source of protein. So he got thinking about this, started hitchhiking through Mexico, did all this long hair stuff. He's still long hair. I love him to pieces. I want to be him, you know. And he figured out, outside of North America, people use insect protein regularly. You know, eat a cricket, eat other types of bugs quite regularly, and it's a source of protein. So, you know, long story short, finally he developed, you know, the little like breakfast bar things, sports bar things that you have. He developed a protein bar made from insect, or cricket. It's actually cricket. It's called Scholl, is this company. He brought some in and we were going, oh. But we ate them. They taste fine. They taste just fine. Mark Cuban, Shark Tank, did a deal with him. And they just did an update on him. You know how they go back and they say, after the tank, what do you do? Yeah, he was on that. Frank Weston. He and his buddy, I'll pass these around, but I do want them back. This is so cool. This stuff, it's called InstaFire. What he and a buddy did, they figured out, well, they were camping and they saw a guy burning. They saw a rock burning, was what he described it as. And he went over and he figured out, well, they've got a little pebble of some sort with wax and something else on it. And the guy wouldn't tell them exactly how they did it. So they went out in a warehouse out in South Ogden, or out in West Ogden, and for a couple of years they tried iteration after iteration to make this stuff. And they finally got it. They got it right. When he demonstrates, in fact, and then he was on Shark Tank, did a deal with Cuban and Lori. But the way he demonstrates that, he'll have like an aquarium, big bowl of water, and he'll get some of that, pour it on his hand, lights it on fire. And he walks out with it. It is amazing. And he'll put it right there in the water, and it just floats and burns. So he uses it for a fire starter. And what was really cool, let's see, where's the 3-pack? Is that 3-pack? So now that says charcoal starter. That was a relabel after he came through our program. He had it as a fire starter. And it was in Home Depot, Costco, no, not Costco, Shopco. He's resisted Walmart for a number of reasons, but it is in Walmart now. And he had a fire starter. Sales weren't all that good. We said, why don't you try just redistinguishing it from a fire starter? How about barbecue starter or a charcoal starter? So like the guys in their backyard that are doing cookouts or whatever can do that. And he did that. They're both on the shelf together, and that one just outsells the other one 3-1. Exact same stuff. That's where your marketing comes in. That's how you test it. That's how you figure out what does the consumer respond to. Yeah, when Frank came into the program, he had filmed the Shark Tank, but he was under a gag order. He couldn't talk about what happened until it aired. But he had to pull me aside because the issue was, I need $200,000 to get this packing machine. Look at this old cruddy one I've got here. And we go look at it. And it packed it just fine, and then it sealed it up, but it would spill on the sides. He said, I've done everything I can to fix that, but it will not fix. The new one is 190 grand. I need Cuban's money to get this, because Cuban committed to him, and Lori. It's a joint deal. And but he couldn't do anything until it aired, and it wasn't scheduled to air. It aired 2 weeks ago. So in the meantime, we're trying to figure out, he's got Home Depot, oh God, there's a half dozen of them. Ace Hardware, Shopko, Walmart. That's a whole other animal there. And they are starting to place what they call soft purchase orders. They're saying, okay, Frank, we're going to give you a 1,000-case order in a month or so, get ready. And he's just sweating it. So he and I went and arranged and lined up financing in the event those orders came in. We had to have the machine. And it just barely worked perfectly. It aired, boom, he got his money. There we go. The Shark Tank. These are people that have come through the program. A couple of other examples. Natalie Caddis, Caddis Manufacturing. She inherited this business from her dad, and what this is, you know how those big power lines. If you see a big bird up there on it, and when the bird lifts off, if it hits those lines wrong, it'll fry it, and it knocks the power out too. And her company had developed this kind of big plastic thing that are about this big, that goes over the top of that fits on those poles, so that if the bird hits it, the bird's protected and don't knock power out. She came in, her sales were just, under $1 million a year. She went through the program, finished the program, happened to, by way of some of the things that we do in here about, we have them develop an elevator pitch. You guys have all heard that. How to say what you do real quickly. Governor's trade mission to Israel, when was that, Paul? Was that a year and a half or so ago? Anyway, she got invited to go on this trade mission. She went over, didn't do a deal in Israel, but on the way back, she found that there was a Mexican consulate on board. And they got talking, and by the time she got home, she actually landed a contract with the country of Mexico to supply those things to various portions of their problem areas, which is amazing. Millions and millions of dollars. Dr. Donna Milovich, On-Site Care. She was just named the 6th fastest growing company in Utah. Restaurants, Kimmy Eklund, Kimmy's Chop and Oyster House. Kestrel Ledke, Tin Angel Cafe. You ever been there? Down by Pioneer Park? Oh, you ought to go. Kathy Chadbourne, 3rd Avenue Bistro. All of these were recent, in the last, say, year and a half. You know how they do the Best of Salt Lake magazine? You see what's top 10 restaurants in Salt Lake. And this is a really cool one. 2 brothers, Jason Olson and Sean Olson. They both had separate businesses. They came in one after the other. Jason was the first one in. His idea, which was growing, is he'd go buy a building and then he'd subdivide it into, and you know how salons work. Maybe some of you worked in a salon or no, they've got various there's a ways that the owner can say, okay, the chair costs you $100 a month, you keep your haircut fee, or I get 10%, various ways to do that. But he went back up the channel a little bit, and he started buying buildings in the right locations where he could create the studio to the studio owner. So it's kind of a turnkey where you go in and it's essentially developing real estate, but he's inside of a building doing this. And he became so successful with this, but now I got to come back to him. His brother, Sean, Preston Auto, used cars. When they both started together, they did a combined total sales of $12 million. These are just a couple of Salt Lake guys. We just checked before I came out. They are doing in excess of $30 million. That's real money. That's like, have you ever had $1,000 in your pocket that you could spend every day and get another 1,000? That's what that feels. I was there once in my life, and I want to get back, you know. Anyway, a lot of success stories. We've had companies buy each other, I had a mechanical contractor, an HVAC guy out of South Ogden, helped him build his business, which is now running on auto control. And he's one of the first guys into the market here in Utah with drone services. Doing well. He's certified. There's some FAA thing or something you have to have to commercially offer those services. And so his first business, Spartan Mechanical, just hums. He says, I go in now a couple times a month. Just sends me money. It's like, oh. And he runs the drone business. So you can kind of see we go from entrepreneurial to scale, to finance, to new marketing ideas. That's kind of it in a nutshell or an overview.
What's your revenue that you require for a business to go into this program?
$150,000. Been in business 2 years, have 4 employees, and they can be 1099ers or part-timers. And the reason for that is because we don't teach startup. We teach scaling. You know, we teach this. The issues are different, like I was talking about, but we don't teach bootstrapping or the entrepreneurial, or do you have a good idea, how to validate your idea. So that's how we know. And that's Goldman Sachs set that, or you know, the creators of the program. And it's worked out to be pretty good. Zerkers? Interesting story there. They came through the program. The father, the guy that started this and grew it so big out there, is retiring. And his son, Nick, I called Nick to see if he wanted to get in the program. And we talked for a long time, and he said, my dad is not able to articulate to me how he figures stuff out, like knowing to buy another location or where a market will be better or how big of a building. He says, I've tried to learn, but he's turning the reins over to us now. And Zerkers does in excess of 20 million when they came into the program. So we can work with companies that size too. Are you coming in? You going to apply? Say yes. Yes, pretty cool if you want to get engaged over there. And these services and the space and everything over there is next to nothing, or it is free. Upstairs we have an incubator. It's presently full. You're welcome to come over there, and you can rent a desk and an office with an office address. I've seen them at $5 a month, $5 to $20 a month. Grow your business there. It's incredible. There's a company coming through right now that just developed, what's it called? Almed or something. We were just playing with it. It's a phone app. You put in the name of the drug that you want to get at the pharmacy, and it checks like 20 locations price for you. It's amazing. He's doing $1 million a year in the incubator, and he just got accepted into the program. After the program, also at Miller Campus is a subdivision of the SBA. It's called Small Business Development Center. Oh, they have so much in there that you can use. You can get free accounting, free marketing advice, sometimes free legal. All right, and so we get you from start to finish, right, over there. What else? Are you guys, anybody in here entrepreneurs? Do you dare say? What do you do?
I'm working right now with a friend starting a business in financial consulting.
Excellent. What do you think? Financial consulting? Are you aware of your demographics? Right now, the baby boom generation is transferring its assets to the next generation. There is the biggest change of asset ownership in history going on right now, and there's so much you need for that service. That's a good idea. How did you come on that?
I ran into him. He was working at a different company for a while, and I kind of asked him if I could job shadow him for a while because I lived
Cool.
with him. And yeah, he's had this game plan in the works for years. So he's kind of
Excellent.
just downloading all the information into me while I try to
He's
figure it out.
downloaded it into you.
Yeah.
You're retaining it?
Yeah.
Good man.
I'm starting to.
Good. What else? What else you guys thinking about with business? Your business students. Yes?
I have a question how this works. So Goldman Sachs has spent all this money, and they basically pay for people to come through and do this program. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
So
good
these
question.
people are there basically on kind of a scholarship.
Exactly. It is a scholarship. Thanks for bringing that up.
And then they don't loan them money. That needs to go through another entity, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Not directly do they loan money, but Goldman Sachs, you know, the Mountain West Small Business Finance, it's a little bank up on 33rd South and 20th East or so. Goldman puts money into that. Goldman can't, because of its charter, lend directly. They're not a commercial bank. But we have had, I think the ratio is something like 98% of anybody that goes through this program, develops their growth plan properly, gets funded. What's really cool too is, I think it was about 1/3 to 1/4 of the people that come into the program thinking, I gotta have some money. You know, and it might be like he was talking about with, well, it's gonna implode, or, you know, a lot of money's in receivables. What we do is we shake it down and we find, look, you don't need money. You need to rearrange how you're managing your money. So about 1/3 of them don't need money when they actually thought they did when they came into the program.
Basically, through Goldman Sachs, they're fine-tuning businesses that are already started to find the problem spots. And
Yes.
The problem spots.
Yes. Yes, exactly. See, to do all this, it's a pretty intense deep dive into your own business. I'm going to pick on Paul for a minute. What company did you have to study as your case study in grad school? Do you remember? Mine was Scott Fertilizer.
I did my own company and
Oh, that was, okay, that's awesome. Well, this is just like a graduate school deep dive into into the company, your own company. I had to figure out Scott Fertilizer. Well, that does me a lot of
I
good.
have two questions. So, how long is the program? Who qualifies to enroll this program?
You have to be in business a couple of years. Your revenues need to be at least $150,000, and you have 4 employees. The sequence of events, these are day-long courses, and we do them every other week. So if we've got, we do a couple side by side, this one and that's okay. So 18 weeks. Sometimes we compress it a little, so anywhere from 15 to 19 weeks, every other week, and we feed them too. Yes?
Sorry, do you have a website?
Yes. You can check out all of this and get some great user stories. It's at 10ksbapply.com. So the digit 10, the letters KSB, apply.com. Yeah, there's a lot of user stories there. Bar Tile Roof is another local company that is shown on there. Yeah, the proof's in the pudding. That's what attracted me to the program. You got people that have really done this, mortgaged their houses to pay payroll or whatever it takes, and then made it grow, made it work.
How do you feel about the network marketing companies that are out there now? Basically, it's like your own small startup, but it's already an established name.
Give me an example. Like,
Well, for one, there's ACN,
and they use the multi-level.
multi-level network
Oh.
marketing.
Yeah, we've had one come through. She did. Well, what I think is that if it's built properly, it works. We had a gal come through who buys pearls. I'm trying to think of the name of the company. Anyway, in India, she buys pearls and she finds a certain group of women, and Pearls with Purpose. That's the name of the company. and she has them make little jewelry, bracelets, necklaces and so on, and then she markets it that way, sort of like Tupperware. They come in and then she'll have her distributors and so on. So we went through the financial model, and as long as it's actually doing that, and you're not Ponziing it, works fine. Yeah, I think it's a good method. It's powerful too if it's done properly. What do you think about them?
Well, I think it depends on the product.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of those, one of my friends sells Zija. She's really big into Zija, and I know a lot of her friends are. So they sell the products, they use the products, then they convince other people to sell and use the products. And it's kind of taken over her life, and she thinks it's a good thing, which I'm not going to tell her, it's a good thing or bad thing, but it literally has taken over her life. She does like 2 to 3 meetings or phone calls, phone conferences with them a week, and then, she doesn't have time for anything else on like a regular basis. But she does that, and she firmly supports the product and the company. I think it depends on what you're trying to do.
Sure.
As to whether or not it'll work.
Is she profitable?
She says she is.
Yeah. Sometimes companies don't know if they're profitable. We get a lot of those. But notice what you said about her activities. She does, she's working on those meetings a couple times a week or a lot of phone calls. That's exactly the same thing you're doing if you're in an office and you're running a day-to-day business, If it's viable, if it works, it's just a tweak on your distribution channels. It's a tweak on the system like that, yeah.
Do you feel like it's important for an owner, operator to understand all steps like accounting and marketing and all that?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will hire accountants to run their businesses or numbers and stuff.
Yeah, severe mistake too. Don't hire accountants, engineers, or those kind of guys to run your business. You'll pay dearly for it. Get a marketer to run your business, like you guys. I was telling you here in our being bankable and in our money and metrics, we have people come through who don't know a thing about it. And they're the business owner, they create the business. What we do though is say, okay, you don't have to be, the guy that enters stuff in QuickBooks all day long and understand, intense, detailed balance sheets. But you need to know how to use them as a tool. And so we'll show them, okay, let's develop a ratio here. It's an acid test ratio, right? How much cash have you got against your receivables? What you should do every day is watch that ratio if we're dealing with a lot of cash. Debt to equity, some of those ratios you learned in accounting. So know in the sense of you don't have to be an expert in all of it, but you've got to be an expert in running all of it. What the primary message that we give our scholars is you must get out of the business so that you can work on it. You're working in it every day. Guy told me yesterday, yeah, I feel like I'm managing this whirlwind I suddenly found myself in. And that's so true of small business owners. It's like everything is happening. And all day long they put out fires, they solve problems, help employees, and they don't have time to say, you know what, let's chart this market over here. Let's go get that new customer. And so that's what we try to do is get people to step out so they can put their hands on all of this and manage it that way. That answer your question? Yeah, good question. You need to be the leader. You can find good people to do the various components.
Another question I have is a lot of people, I guess in my other classes I've been hearing that a lot of people will spend too much money on their, their fixed out, like their rent and utilities and stuff like that. How do you know where to draw the line? I mean, you don't want to get a building that's too big.
Yes.
Kind of complicated.
It's never a precise recipe or formula. You have to approximate it. Put a pencil to paper. A good way to kind of start that is what are my sales per square foot? Use some sort of a metric or some sort of a tape measure to say, okay, well, if I'm generating $100,000 out of my 5,000 square foot building, and I can sense a bigger market, well, you look at the margin that you're paying now, you go find another property, do a little bit of, sales per square foot, see if the rent matches up. You just do some calculation on it. That's where a lot of the finesse comes into this, your horse sense about it, or your common intuition, which we help promote in this program too. But it's more of an arithmetic problem. It's the best way to put it. Great question. These are all the things that we deal with. How do you know? What do you do? How are we going to scale?
Another one. So I found out my dad has some welding equipment.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of it, a lot of stuff that you need to do a fabrication shop. And something that I thought about doing is learning how to make furniture and then selling it. And he's told me that I could use some of his space for free. And I just wonder if somebody came to you and said, okay, I have all this equipment that I get to use for free, would that be a viable business plan when there's, I guess, not business plan, but would that be dangerous to do when you don't own the equipment and there's the possibility that it could be taken away from you? Or?
You mean, pulled out of your
yeah, like the relationship with my dad.
This,
or
yeah.
something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a risk that you have to assess. Yeah, good point. You figure that one out. You can lease equipment too, but yeah, that's exactly some of the things you'd have to face, and we deal with that, and we go talk to pops too. In this program, we'll go and talk to your dad with you. Say, this is what we're thinking. Maybe you get an agreement, lease for 10 years for $1 a year. Is he mad at you?
No.
Okay, good. Good question. Yeah, really good stuff. You should do that, by the way. What's the first thing you need to do? Well, not the first thing necessarily. Do you have a customer in mind?
Well, first I'd have to learn how to make the furniture.
Oh, you got to weld first. I hear you.
Figure out who would buy it.
What drives all of this? Where does the money come from? Customers. That's your marketing right there. You remember, what are your 4 Ps? You remember your 4 Ps? Product, price,
placement, and
promotion. Everything revolves around that customer. That's everything that we teach. The goal of the marketing mix is to effect a transaction with that customer. We exchange our value for his value, which is dollars, generally. So that's kind of the core underpinning, and that's what I meant by, don't put an engineer running your company. Get a guy that understands that proposition. William Hewlett-Packard Corporation was once quoted as saying, at Hewlett-Packard, marketing is far too important to be left to the marketing department. What? Who's the guy at Southwest Airlines? Herb Kelleher. He says at Southwest Airlines, customer service is not a department. That kind of sounds like counterintuitive, doesn't it? So what are those guys saying?
every part of your culture.
He gets an A for the day. Yeah, the whole company is a marketer, and that's all I'm referring to. So we do have a slant on that too, because that's where the money comes from, right? Paul, I'm sorry. I know I'm knocking your profession a little bit. Forgive me. Okay.
We know we're tools.
Good, all right. Good tools. Yeah, by the way, the best money that you'll ever spend is on professional help like that, professional accounting. Yeah, it's the best money you ever spend. Don't let your niece or your sister's friend do the books over the kitchen table once a week. That's the biggest casualty of our program over there. We lose a lot of those types of people. They just go fire them, which is the best thing they could do, Thanks, you guys. Been fun talking to you, and see you again.